Hi guys, and welcome back to another episode of Feed and Focus for Remote Work and Digital Nomads podcast. My name is Shurina, your nomadic coach, nutritionist, the brain performance coach. These days, more than anything else, and probably going to be for another decade of my life. I finished reading a book, Brendan Burchard, Millionaire Messenger. It's his latest book, and it's written for people who are experts or about to be experts, who want to be experts, and who want to help people with their advice. And so the book is about mindset, but it's also about business sides of things. And why I'm talking about this book right now is that in this book, he says, whenever you start a business, especially as an expert, you're going to be the messenger of your message. You're going to live and breathe this message for the next probably 10 years of your life to really make it successful. You want people to associate this message that you want to send with you, right? So in this book, he said, make sure that you choose something that you're going to be talking for, you'd want to talk for, and live it and breathe it for another 10 years. Otherwise, just not worth it. You burn out faster, you burn out before anything good comes out of it. So when I finished the book, I asked myself, am I ready to talk about brain performance for the next 10 years? Is it fascinating? Is it interesting for me enough? And the answer was very strong and passionate. Yes, it's like the golden era of the brain. Believe me, guys, we are getting so much more research and data and tools and learning how to change our brain states and how to do it magic better. So I'm like, yes, I'm going to be a brain goal for the next 10 years. And this podcast, of course, is a reflection of all of this. It's specifically designed for remote work and digital nomads because that's what I am, what I've been for the past, 20 years of my life, basically since I started working. That's what I was, had my own gig, was passionate about being location independent, and been working most of the time by myself, just having a few people, working on projects here and there or doing some freelance work for me. But pretty much, yeah, I've been remote and nomadic for nomadic for at least 11 years, but remote my whole life. And that's why this podcast is combines the nutrition, the lifestyle, the health, the brain performance with remote work, with nomadic lifestyle. And today, guys, today is Monday, today is motivation day. And I wanted to give you a couple of very useful pieces of advice based on research, but also based on my own lifestyle and my own experience, things that will help you to improve motivation and also focus. Because, guys, did you know that in order to stay focused, you need to have the same molecule of motivation that start the motivation going in your brain. You need dopamine to stay motivated and then to stay focused. So they kind of the same states very much. It's very hard to stay focused if you are not motivated, probably impossible. They're very similar things molecularly. And when it comes to your mental state, the way you perceive it, the way you feel it, right? Motivation and focus, they're very, very close. Motivation probably can be without focus, even though it's hard for me to imagine how can you can be motivated to just be doing things, right? So focus allows to fuel, to put that motivation energy into something more tangible, something that you can create, right? Instead of spending it all over the place. So motivation is focus is like motivation, focuser, right? Again, it allows to focus that energy instead of spreading it all over the place. So today I give you a couple of tools, a couple of nomadic, a couple of remote work hacks to help you to improve your motivation levels, to increase your motivation levels, and what's most important, consistently. And by consistently, I mean you do this thing that I'm going to share with you right now, and you get a higher level of motivations consistently. So we talked a lot about dopamine on this podcast and how higher level of dopamine is what you need to have higher level of motivation and higher levels of focus. Dopamine depends on proper sleep for sure, but then also light exposure every morning. So ideally you would go outside in the first hour of your waking and spend about 20 minutes. It depends on the weather conditions. You basically need sun exposure. And so the brighter it is outside, the less clouds there are, the less you need to spend. If it's super sunny and the sun is shining into your eyes, you need just a couple of minutes. But if it's cloudy, you are behind buildings, you're in the shade, etc., etc., etc. If it's raining, especially 20-30 minutes, that's what you got to spend outside. So a tip for you to be able to kind of do the sun exposure on autopilot. Figure out for yourself a goal that you need to do every morning that will get you outside. So when I move into a new place, a new country, a new city, I always make sure, because I'm a gym goer, I like to go to the gym or do some sort of exercise every single morning. And if I go to a facility to exercise, or if I walk to the beach, for example, to do some exercise there, then I make sure that those things are a little bit further away. So they're not right there where I am. You'd think you'd want your things to be closer and more convenient. Well, actually not so much, because my goal is to also add steps, because when you work remotely, when you're a digital nomad, sometimes you can just sit on your ass, doing your work and never leave your apartment, or just walk less, or you have a scooter, you get a scooter or a car, and you just don't walk all that much. You don't have to. So I like to manufacture artificial reasons to walk more. So my gym is like 15-20 minute walk away from me. So I do it to the gym, I do it back from the gym, right? Already like half an hour of walking. And so what happens is I go to the gym. It's usually darker, the sun is not even out, but I make sure that at least on the way back, I get that sun exposure, those first rays of sun, right? So I get this 15-20 minute walk in the sun, no matter what. The beach, it's kind of also away. It takes you about 10 minutes to get there, and then you do whatever you need to do, and you get back there, and you have at least 30 minutes of walking. Now, on days when I don't want to do any of that, I set myself an artificial goal. Okay, in the morning, I'm going to get my coffee in the cafe that is like 20-minute walk away. Or in the morning, I'm going to go and get my water. If you have a dog, I just met a friend walking back from the gym, and he has a dog. He's not into exercise, but I'm like, that is so cool. You don't even know what amazing purpose your dog serves. It gets you out of your apartment every morning to stimulate the dopamine, to make you feel better the whole day, to feel you more motivated and focused, improve your circadian rhythm, right? The dog serves a huge purpose. It really improves your health, and you don't even know it. Well, he knows because he knows me, but most people wouldn't know that the dog does serve such an amazing purpose in their life. Besides giving them joy, of course, and happiness and a lot of good vibes. So manufacture some sort of walking route in your routine. Again, if you're a nomad, when you move to a new place, make sure there is a place for you to walk, and make sure that places that you need to go to, they're not right there. The like cafes or grocery shops or co-working spaces, they're not right there. Force yourself to walk. That walking outside, exposure to natural light will increase your dopamine levels, and that increases your motivation, and it makes focus so much easier, right? So want to feel more motivated, expose yourself to light. But we humans are lazy creatures. If there is nothing pushing us, making us do us, we often forget this, especially at the beginning when we just start building the habit. So what you do, you manufacture that walk, give yourself a purpose. It can be an artificial one, but something that you will do every morning. Maybe call your mom every morning. That's what I also used to do on my walks. I would call my mom. Now I put it in another container, so to speak, in my schedule, because I don't really need it for walking. But yeah, like maybe this is the time to connect with your family while you travel. Or if you do remote work, maybe this is the time for you to listen to that podcast that you never get the time for now that you're working remotely and you maybe don't go out just as much, right? Create a goal, something that will require a consistent repetition of that habit of going out. Because again, back to it, natural light outside, not behind the window. You have to not wear sunglasses. You need to not wear any hat that will cast a shadow on your eyes, because the signal gets through the eyes to the brain, right? So the eyes gotta get the light exposure. You gotta install some habits, some artificial goal to get outside every morning at certain time and get that sun exposure. No matter whether, again, you're remote. When we didn't work remotely as much, you would go outside on most days, right? Sometimes it wouldn't perfect, like you wouldn't see the sun, like if you were to work in London, but you would still go outside more than now when a lot of people work remotely. And digital nomads, you think, oh, you spend a lot of time outside. Well, sometimes you spend the time outside at all the wrong times. You need to do this at the first hour of waking. That's when it matters, because the sun angle changes and certain signals that you get from the morning sun, you cannot get from the sun in the afternoon. Ideally, again, it's the first hour of sunrise that you would catch. And that's what I'm trying to optimize for. If you can't do that, well, at least it has to be before noon. Like it has to be before noon, before the higher position in the sky. The earlier, the better, because the lower angle of the sun really does matter. And when I often hear from people like, how do I make myself exercise or do this or that? How do I increase my motivation for that? And very often when you're not feeling motivated, it's already late, first of all, and it's the exact reason why you need to do those things right now. People think I'm motivated every day. Well, I kind of am, because I do these things every day. But I know that if I don't, that when I, for some reason, travel or I have to go to a super early conference or do something super early online, I feel that if for a couple of days I don't do that sun exposure, things gets harder. It gets harder to move myself into action. And that is across the board what happens for creatures who need sun exposure to balance, to control, or to optimize certain processes in the brain. So you gotta get outside, again, every single morning. But again, we humans are lazy creatures, so make sure that your environment, your routines, they make you do that consistently. Maybe get a dog, or just, again, have places further away if you work remotely, if you work as a digital nomad. And don't make necessarily everything convenient. If you already know that you don't walk all that much, then make it a purpose, a point to design your lifestyle so you have to go out on a regular basis to get something. Maybe don't make this water all that convenient. And every time you have to get water every day, maybe you have to go to this, corner shop that might be 15 minutes away and get that water. A little bit of exercise, a little bit of caring, sun exposure, all good things. Our environment is manufactured to make us lazy, sick, not moving facts. So we gotta remanufacture it to do the opposite, right? That's why also as a digital nomad, I always recommend people don't stay right in the center where all your favorite shops, your cafes, your everything is right there. Stay a little bit away. And what I made myself do this time compared to like a couple of other times, I did not get any mode of transportation. I chose the location at exact spot that requires me to walk like 10, 15, 20 minutes to different places. And that's why, whether I want it or not, I'm going to be walking, because I have no transportation. I mean, I could get like a bike, city bike, rent it, but it's like a hassle. So I walk to most places because it's just faster and less hassle. What I do, and what I recommend you to do, stay a little bit away from all the places where you need to go. And that way you have to walk, and don't get the transportation, or set some rules. People are really good with rules when they are clear. So set some rules. For example, I rent a car, but I only use it when I go to another city or to do a tour. I don't do it to get around the places where I can walk, right? So set the rules. And that will allow you to stick with behaviors consistently. And again, back to the point of motivation, you do certain things to make yourself feel motivated. Consistent motivation is about consistently doing things that prime that condition higher dopamine levels. And again, those things are regular sleep, especially between the hours of 10 p.m. and 4 a.m. You got to be in bed. You got to expose yourself to light in the morning, first hour of waking. Exercise stimulates dopamine a lot, so do move. It doesn't have to be a lot. Just break a sweat. What I usually say to people, break a sweat. I don't know, do burpees, go for like a sprint of 2 minutes. Do something to break a sweat. Other things that increase dopamine and motivation, make focus easier, things like cold shower. Doesn't have to be a lot. Just make it cold, make it quick, few seconds, and you're done. You're going to increase your motivation level through increasing of your dopamine. A little hug, a little bit of caffeine. For most, it requires really little, like maybe half a shot of espresso, or a shot of espresso, really little, or maybe even better, a piece of chocolate, or what I recommend to people, maybe get some matcha powder and take like half a teaspoon of that has a little bit of caffeine, but also, well, it's just good for your dopamine levels as well, and other neurotransmitters. So, but yeah, the non-negotiables for higher dopamine and motivation levels: you have a good night's sleep, you are in bed from 10 p.m. to 4 a.m. for sure, and of course, 8 hours there somewhere. You get sun exposure when you wake up, first hour of waking, you move, you break a sweat, and then maybe you take a cold shower, and you're going to be ready to go, and your motivation level is always going to be higher. Always, right? Just do that consistently. And if you can't even get outside for a walk every morning, guys, you need some help, because if your motivation levels are so low, you don't even want to walk, there is something really not great happening, and you need to look deeper into that. I'm not here to scare, but I want you to understand, if you don't even feel motivation to get outside at the morning and go for a short walk, then you got to do something about your lifestyle and your life. And I'm here to help. If you need coaching, if you're struggling with a lot of things, if you think your brain chemistry might not be working for a lot of reasons and you're struggling to build new habits, you are drowning in information and don't really know what exactly to do and how to do it, please reach out. Let's have a call and let's see what's the best way for you to act. Share this episode with other nomads, other people who work remotely, so they start hacking their environment to promote the behaviors that make us walk more, that make us get the light exposure consistently, maybe get a dog. And have an awesome week, guys. Tomorrow, stay tuned. We're going to have an amazing episode with a guest who's been a nomad, who's been building communities, nomadic communities, and very passionate about creating a more connected, more tighter world for digital nomads when it comes to human connections. So, and of course, he's going to talk about his lifestyle, etc., focus, productivity. So stay tuned tomorrow. It's going to be really interesting and insightful. And have an awesome week and get that sun exposure.